Hey there, watch lovers. Laz here with another watch review. This time we have something a little bit different about the GMTs. On today's video, we'll be reviewing the Pagani Design GMT Batgirl on the Jubilee bracelet. There you have it right there. We'll give you some close-ups on these. And then on the other hand, we have the Corgi Omega Seamaster GMT Homage. This watch right here I just picked up. I just got it yesterday, and I think there's some pretty interesting things to cover between these two watches and my take on both of these watches. So stay tuned for this video. All right, so here you have it, guys. Once again, we have the Pagani Design GMT Batgirl on the Jubilee bracelet. And on this side here, we have the Corgi GMT Omega Seamaster Homage. I'll go ahead and start off with the Pagani Design GMT. And we'll give you a close look here, and then we'll get into the specs. So again, we have this is the Pagani PD1662. We'll talk about the case size here for just a bit. So we have, on the case size, we have a 40 millimeter case size. Your case thickness on this is 14 mil. That's obviously going to be from the back of the exhibition case to the top of that sapphire crystal. You have a signed crown there as well. There we go. Beautiful, beautiful finish along the side of this case. I don't know if you can take a look there at that back exhibition there. Very, very nice. It's flat, doesn't protrude much like the Invictus, so I do like that because it sits a lot better on the wrist. Again, you have a very nice finish on this watch. As far as lug to lug, you're looking at 49.8 millimeters lug to lug. Your case length on this is going to be 49.8 millimeters. As far as the lug width on this, you're looking at 20 millimeter lug width, so it's going to be fairly easy to get some straps for this watch. As far as the movement on this, you have the DG5833 GMT, which, to be quite frank with you, I tried finding information on this movement. I really couldn't find any kind of information on it. What I will say is that it's been pretty accurate. I haven't had any issues or I don't have any complaints in regards to the timekeeping on this, the functions of the GMT. What I would say is when you're setting this date, you can see it's a little wobbly and it's not always aligned. You're gonna have some misalignment there, but hey, again, this is a watch that's under $100, so you really can't complain there. As far as the bracelet, once again, you have a Jubilee stainless steel solid bracelet. You got solid end links, solid links, and screw-on pins. That's a pretty nice touch for a watch that's about $100, so no complaints there as well. As far as the crystal on this, you have a sapphire crystal. The cyclop on this as well is a sapphire cyclop. Your bezel, you're looking at 120 click unidirectional bezel, and see if I can give you an idea of what that sounds like. I'm not sure if the mic's gonna pick it up, but hey, we'll give you a close-up sound as well on this. There's not much resistance on this bezel. It aligns pretty good, so no complaints there. That's typically an issue even with Seikos. So as far as alignment goes, it's not bad. So yeah, your bezel insert, you have a ceramic bezel insert. Very, very nice. I know on the previous GMTs from Pagani, the blue and the black wasn't evenly applied. I think on this side it was a little bit lower than it should have been, but it seems that they fixed this on this particular model. So they did a pretty good job there, in terms of the quality control. As far as the water resistance, so the water rating on this, you got 100 meters according to Pagani Design. Take that again with a grain of salt. This is a micro brand, and you know how, I'm sure they don't really test that, but I have taken it swimming, haven't had any issues with it. So as far as mine goes, it's held up pretty well to water. The loom, so the loom on this, and I'll give you guys at some point you'll see a loom shot comparison between this one and the Corgi. The loom on this thing sucks. Some of the pips don't even illuminate. So honestly, they should not even have added if it's gonna be that bad. But the hands, on the other hand, is probably the part that looms the most. Even though it seems to be more loom on the indices there. So yeah, not sure why Pagani tends to really drop the ball on the loom. Like, You have companies like Steel Dive that charges roughly around the same for their watches, and they have really, really good lume on their watches. So hopefully Pagani Design, if you're listening, hopefully you can step it up a bit with the lume on these watches. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the specs on this watch. Taking a look at the bracelet real quick. So it is a Rolex style bracelet. So, you know, I think Pagani Design does a fairly good job with their bracelets. So, you know, I don't really have much of a complaint there. You know, it's a milled clasp, and there is a micro adjust on, yeah, here. Let's see if I can get that. I've already, yeah, it doesn't, there it is. Wow, that was tough. So there is a micro adjust if you wanted to pull that out and give yourself a little more slack on the bracelet. To be quite frank with you, it's pretty rough, and again, I haven't really used it. I don't know if you can hear that, Jesus. I haven't really used it as much, and it'll probably loosen up over time, but it's still a pretty bad bracelet, or a pretty bad micro adjust on this bracelet, better said, because the bracelet's not bad at all. So yeah, there you have it. We'll go ahead and jump into the Corgi GMT here. So the Corgi GMT here, this is basically a Omega Seamaster homage. And I think they did a fairly good job. This is a beautiful, beautiful cream dial. And there is a bit of a texture on that dial, and I'm not sure if you can see that. I'll see if I can zoom in a little more. There it is, right there. So if you take a close look at the dial, beautiful, beautiful finish on that dial. The color looks amazing. You can see the blue on the hands, the little red around the GMT hand. Overall, I gotta say, this is a really well finished dial. So let's go ahead and jump right into the specs on this bad boy as well. Let me go ahead and clean this off just a bit. Polish that up just a little bit so you can see it, so you can really enjoy that dial. There we go. Okay, so again, this is the Corgi GMT Aquatera homage. So you have a case size here of 41 millimeters. Now this case is a little bit bigger than the Pagani Design GMT, but what I will say is it does not feel bigger. On the wrist, it looks smaller. It has a smaller profile on the wrist, and I really like the way this wears. Has a very nice high polish along the top of this case and a very nice brush finish here. Overall, very nice finish on this case. See if I can get that to focus just a little bit better for you. There we go. All right. So yeah, case thickness. You're looking at a 12 millimeter thickness on this case. Again, keep in mind that is a little bit thick, but keep in mind these have GMT complications, which is going to add to the heft of the watch. Lug to lug, you're looking at about 50.1 millimeters, so it's slightly bigger than the GMT, but again, this wears smaller than the GMT, especially when you have it on the NATO like I have here. You have your lug width. So lug width here for your straps, you got a 20 millimeter lug width, so fairly easy to find some straps for this. You know, the bracelet this came on, and I'm going to go ahead and pick up this bracelet here for just a sec. This is the bracelet that this watch came on. It's not a bad bracelet. Wish they would have added some kind of logo here, maybe even the company's name. It's a butterfly deployant clasp. Here's what I have to say about this. I had this on for about 15 minutes before I took it off the watch because I kept finding the bracelet kept popping off. And that could be just me accidentally pushing this with my wrist, but it's just not. It's not a good bracelet, to be honest with you. It took me over 15 minutes just to take one of these pins out. Seems like they used oversized pins on this. They are solid links, and then you have solid end links as well for this bracelet. I'm not sure if you can make those out there. There you go. So these are solid end links. It's just not a good bracelet at all. Again, I took it off after 15 minutes of use. I was like, yeah, this is not going to work for me. So yeah. Yeah, we'll get in here to the movement as well. You have a Mingzhu 3804 GMT movement. Quite a few watches out there have this. Now, I've just noticed that this movement, in comparison to this movement on the Pagani Design, this movement here does not have hacking. It's kind of weird the way it works. As you're setting the time, in certain instances, it stops. So it'll hack it, but it's almost accidental. It's not like I know there's some watches where if you hold the crown a certain way, it will hack the movement, which is not good for the movement, but nonetheless it'll do it. This one just does it on its own. So, you know, again, this is one of those cheap Chinese movements. It so far has kept pretty decent time, so I don't really have much of a complaint there. You have a date complication as well alongside with that GMT. You know, there's really not much to say about that movement. Again, there's really not that much information out there to begin with, so there you have it. And as far as the bracelet, like I said, it's worth spending an extra 20-30 bucks and getting that bracelet replaced, because it's not a good bracelet whatsoever, and it's not comfortable. Also doesn't have micro adjust, so you'll notice when you have that bracelet on, it's going to be kind of hard to get it to fit you how you want it. You can't adjust it on the fly, so those are things to keep in mind when you purchase this. If you purchase this watch, definitely going to want to switch that bracelet out. As far as the crystal on this, we have a sapphire crystal. You know, it's going to hold up very well to time. Now, the only drawback with sapphire, and most people know this, there is quite a bit of glare with sapphire, especially when they don't put AR coating on it. Water resistant, you got 50 meters of water resistant with this timepiece. It is a screw down crown, so you know, always take it with a grain of salt when it comes to these micro brands and their rating of their water resistant. But nonetheless, you know, you have that screw down crown. Now, what I have noticed with this watch, and this is kind of one of the things I disliked about it, is that when you're winding that, it catches the threads, and it wants to screw in, but then it just hangs up there. It's not a good experience. You know, if you can get past that, then hey, go for it. But that really bothers me. I mean, I'm gonna put this up to the mic so you can hear how grindy this sounds. Yeah, it's pretty bad. Anyways, as far as the screwing in, it hangs up at times. You know, it's not. You know, and also another thing I would have liked to see on the Aquatera, you notice that there's a bit of a indentation here. There's no lugs, but there's a bit of an indentation so that when you're screwing the crown, it kind of, it sits a little further into the case. So that would have been a nice touch. And then also another thing too, in terms of the water resistance on this, this is one of those watches where the sapphire crystal is actually being held on by the bezel here. So this is a push down bezel. It's very easy to pop off, so I don't know, you know, how that's going to hold up to water resistant, or to any kind of water activity for that matter. But yeah, there you have it. See if I can give you a shot of this movement in the back. So this one has an 8/0 strap, so it's a little bit easier to take that off. So there you can see it. That's the Mingzhu movement. And I hope I'm pronouncing that right. It's, you know, they tried to decorate it just a little bit with these blue screws that are painted blue. These are not heated or heat-treated blue screws, which you're going to find in the higher-end watches. But still, hey, you know, it's a nice touch. It does have a very prominent winding sound when you have this on the wrist. You feel that rotor spinning as well. So yeah, this is glass. It's not sapphire on the back, but hey, you know, you know, with these watch companies, these micro brands, I would very much appreciate it if they just don't even worry about putting a glass back there and just put a solid case back. You know, this is not a decorated movement or a movement that anyone cares to see. At least I don't. You know, you guys tell me, put it on the comments below and let me know if you guys, you know, like those exhibition backs. But yeah, there you have it, guys. You know, as far as my take on these two watches, oh, I did wanted to show you guys something. So this is a Timex strap here, but I did put it on this this Corgi, and it looks amazing. I mean, just that brown with that cream dial just looks amazing, man. I'm gonna try to back this out just a bit to show you a little more, but it's kind of hard to make out here, but I'll show you I'll throw up some pictures with this on the Corgi so you get an idea of how that looks. But yeah, there you have it, guys. You know, as far as my take and my recommendation on this, if I had to take a watch that I would recommend more, you know, aesthetically speaking, I think the Corgi is going to be a better looking timepiece than the GMT Pagani Design Batgirl Homage. But in terms of functionality, I think that the Pagani design is definitely going to one-up this watch. You know, as far as lume, both of these watches are definitely, they get a whopping 0 on from my part. But as far as functionality, the construction of the watch, I'm going to have to give it to Pagani Design. I think they did a better job with the finish on the case. They did a better job just overall. Even the movement that's in here is slightly better than this one. It has, you get hacking. It seems a little more consistent when winding. And I'll see if I can give you here, I'm going to put this up to the mic so you can hear that winding. It's a lot smoother than the one on the Corgi. It just feels, this watch just feels a little more polished. Now, there is another thing I did have that I didn't like about the Pagani design is how much this crown sticks out. You know, this is really a bit of an overkill Pagani. It almost seems like they had a bunch of these crowns left over and they just were smacking them in all their watches, because believe it or not, they have this in almost every Pagani design watch has the same exact crown. I mean, just look at how much that crown sticks out. That's ridiculous. It just doesn't match the watch. So yeah, it's just something to keep in mind when you purchase this. If you purchase this watch, it is a good looking timepiece. Don't get me wrong, and I've gotten quite a few compliments while wearing this timepiece. You know, I love how they match that GMT hand perfectly with this blue and the GMT blue that's on the dial. So, and that is a beautiful looking dial. It has a nice shiny dial on there, and I haven't seen any particles or anything underneath that dial. So I think Pagani Design did a good job there. As far as this bracelet goes, it's not a bad bracelet. You know, there are some things about it that are not perfect, but like every watch, the watch is never going to be perfect. You know, there's always going to be things that you would rather see on the watch. But hey, for $100, you can't beat this. I would highly recommend this. If you don't care too much for the lume, this is a good buy right here. Same thing with this one. You know, this is also a good buy. But if you only had $100 to spend, I would probably say go for the Pagani Design over this. Now, if you're not a sports watch kind of guy or lady, and you want something that's a little more dressier and classier, this Corgi is definitely going to knock it out of the park. You know, I mean, it's definitely a nice classy looking watch. Let's go ahead and throw both of these on the wrist and see how that looks. You know, with these NATO straps, I always struggle to put them on. And hopefully I'm not getting any audio interference. I've been having issues with my mic, so bear with me on that, guys. So there's a little wrist shot of what that looks like on the wrist. Let's go ahead and back that out just a little more. Very, very nice, highly polished watch. I really like the design of this case, and I love that Aquatera design. I mean, it's timeless. It really is. All right, sorry about that, guys. My camera overheated in this Florida weather, and I am recording in 4K, so I only get a certain amount of time recording before I get that overheating message. Let me get this all out of the way here. So here's a shot on the wrist of the Pagani Design GMT. I gotta say, man, this is really, really a good-looking watch, especially on that Jubilee bracelet. Definitely a recommendation in my book. So I highly recommend adding this. You know, if you got $100 to spend and you had to choose between the Corgi and the GMT, again, it's going to depend on your preference, but I would say go for the Pagani Design GMT. They also have this in a Pepsi version, a root beer version. They also have this in a Coke version. I mean, the options are endless. So yeah, there you have it, guys. That's my take on this. All right, there you have it, guys. That was the battle of the GMTs. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, please do so. Drop a like below and drop a comment below. If you haven't already, hit that bell icon so you're notified as future videos come out. Again, this is your host, Laz. Till the next one.